My sister ruined my relationship all because she couldn't have her so-called one true love. So I made her watch as he fell for me instead. My younger sister, Mia, has been using the same excuse ever since she turned 21. She can't have her one true love. So apparently she has the right to ruin everyone else's. And I don't mean it in the sweet, still not over her ex kind of way. I mean it like, if you're happy, she'll find a way to tear you down and then blame her misery on her tragic love story, the one true love. Some guy named Ethan she met at a college party 4 years ago. They hooked up one time. He never called back. And somehow, that became the reason she turned into a walking disaster. It began with her best friend, since kindergarten. One weekend, Mia stayed over at Jess's place. By Monday, Jess's boyfriend was texting Mia, "Good morning." When Jess caught them in her own bed, Mia actually had the audacity to say, "You don't understand what it's like to lose your soulmate." Jess never spoke to her again. Then there was our cousin's engagement party. Mia showed up in a dress that cost more than my rent, got wine drunk, and cornered the groom in the bathroom. His exact words, she kept saying I reminded her of someone special. Thank God he pushed her off and told his fiancé immediately. But Mia, she cried to our parents, claiming that seeing happy couples triggered her trauma. Mom booked her a spa weekend to help her heal. By the time I met Ryan, I already knew the pattern. I kept him away from family dinners, wiped Mia from my social media, and told Ryan that my sister was going through something and needed space. But for 2 years, it worked. We got engaged last spring. Small wedding, just close friends. Nothing fancy. But I made one mistake. I mentioned it at Mom's birthday dinner. Mia's eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. "I'm so happy for you," she said, hugging me. "When do I get to meet him?" A week later, Ryan showed me his phone, laughing. "Your sister found me on Instagram using some fake account. Look at these messages." We read them together, making fun of her desperation. He promised to block her. 3 weeks before my wedding, I caught the flu. Ryan was supposed to be at his brother's golf tournament for the day, but one of my friends, who lived near Mia's apartment, texted me, "You're already at your sister's place." Weird, I just saw Ryan's Tesla in the visitor parking. My stomach dropped. I drove over, fever and all, and used the emergency spare key Mia had given me. I found them on her couch, her head resting in his lap, his hand tangled in her hair, both of them half-dressed. She looked up at me with tears already forming. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "He just reminds me so much of Ethan." I stormed out. Ryan didn't even bother chasing after me. That's when I decided she needed to know what losing really felt like. See, Ethan wasn't some ghost who vanished. We'd actually followed each other on Instagram for 3 years. Mutual college friends, occasional likes, but never really spoke. He lived 3 hours away, worked as a physical therapist, and loved posting videos of his golden retriever, so I slid into his DMs. "Hey, this is a little weird, but my sister had a thing for you in college and just wrecked my wedding. Want to help me ruin her life?" He replied in 12 minutes. Mia, the girl who showed up at my mom's house. Turns out, she'd driven to his hometown and introduced herself to his mother like they were long-lost family. Told some twisted version of their story where he was the love of her life and fate had kept them apart. His poor mother believed her. They had tea, took selfies. She even posted, "Reunited with my dear future mother-in-law." Ethan sent me all of it, screenshots, videos, even an audio recording of his mom saying, "She seemed so sincere. Dear, I'm sorry if I caused trouble." That's when I realized Mia wasn't going to stop. She didn't know what love was only possession. And what she couldn't have, she had to destroy. But this time, she didn't count on 2 things. That I wasn't the sister who let things slide anymore, and that Ethan was down to play. We planned every detail. He'd come visit the weekend of the family lunch. I hadn't spoken to Mia since the day I found her with Ryan, but I knew she'd show up. It was Dad's birthday. No one ever missed those. In me, I'd show up with Ethan holding hands, laughing, acting exactly how she'd always imagined it. On Friday, I picked Ethan up from the bus station. He was even more attractive in person. Funny kind, effortlessly charming. Exactly the kind of man Mia couldn't manipulate. In the car, we rehearsed everything, our lines, our gestures. By Saturday at 1 p.m., we parked in front of my parents' house. I walked in with a new dress, high heels, a smile. Ethan held my hand like we'd been in love forever. Mia was laughing with my uncle in the living room when she saw us. Her laugh cut off immediately. "Everyone," I said casually, like it was nothing. "This is Ethan." Her face went white, then red, and then she forced a strained smile. "Ethan," she said, faking a laugh. "Wow, what a coincidence." He smiled politely. "Hi Mia, good to see you again." That completely shattered her grip on the situation. She mumbled something, but I was already sitting down, taking photos, posting stories. Every little move was a knife to her pride. During lunch, she tried to chat with him, bringing up college memories that never actually happened. But Ethan made sure to always look at me, calling me love. wrapping his arm around my shoulders, and each time, Mia pressed her lips together like she was swallowing broken glass. After the birthday toast, she couldn't take it anymore. She locked herself in the bathroom. I followed. I knocked until she opened the door. "What do you want now?" she asked, her makeup smeared, pleading. "Just checking if you're okay," I said, dripping with fake sympathy. "It must be hard to see your soulmate holding your sister's hand. You're doing this to hurt me, and you destroyed my engagement because you couldn't stand seeing me happy. So no, Mia, this is justice. He was mine," she screamed, punching the wall. "I saw him first. I felt it first." "No, Mia, you saw him once. He never wanted you. You made up a love story in your head and used it to justify being cruel. But now you'll sit and watch him love me, because unlike you, I didn't have to beg." She collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Mom knocked on the door, asking if everything was all right. I opened it and walked out with my head high. I sat back down next to Ethan. He kissed my forehead and whispered, "She's going to lose it even more. Are you ready?" I smiled. I've never been more ready. By the next morning, the fallout had already started. Mom called early, asking for understanding. She said Mia cried all night, that she was fragile, that I should have avoided provoking her. Provoking? I asked, laughing bitterly. Bringing my boyfriend to a family lunch is provoking. Or is it just that Mia can't handle anyone being happy without her at the center? Mom sighed like I was the problem. "Honey, your sister has a sensitive heart. She gets attached easily." Sensitive. I cut her off. "She slept with my fiancé. She destroyed my wedding, and you're worried about her feelings." I was sick, home alone, and she was lying with him on the couch, thinking about Ethan. "You're not flipping this on me. Let's talk another time," she said, and hung up. That's when I knew no one was going to stand up for me. They've always treated Mia like some fragile ornament, but they forget. She's always had claws. Now those claws are tearing into herself. On Monday, Ethan was still in town, so I took him to brunch with my friends, the ones who'd known Mia's games since high school. Ethan was perfect, charming, gentle, completely devoted. The girls exchanged glances, enchanted. Some whispered, "This revenge is too beautiful." But the best part came later. That afternoon, Ethan posted a photo of us in the park hugging, smiling. Simple caption, "Sometimes love shows up when you least expect it." The comments trickled in: a cousin, an old classmate, heart emojis. Then Mia showed up, at KAMIYA_soulmate. "This is disgusting. You know what he means to me." Ethan liked her comment, he replied, sharp and clean. "We hooked up once, Mia, once, and you followed me down the street the next day. That's not love, it's obsession." Boom, ***, within an hour. The post was everywhere. People from our social circles chimed in. Finally someone said it. "I always thought the way she talked about him was weird." Karma is real. Mia didn't comment again, but she sent me voice messages on WhatsApp, crying, yelling, asking how I could use him against her. One of them ended with, "You're ruining my life for revenge." I texted back, "No, I'm showing you how to rebuild after being ruined, something you never learned." Then I blocked her. But I wasn't done. Not yet. By Thursday night, Mia posted a selfie crying, puffy-eyed, in that sad bedroom lighting. Caption, "It's hard when your sister steals the man you love, laughs at your pain, and everyone claps for it. I'm not perfect, but no one deserves this." Over 1,000 likes, supportive comments, "Stay strong, you'll get through this." The worst part, people close to me reposted it. The next morning, I went to my parents' house. Mom opened the door, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "I came to talk to everyone." I walked in. Dad was in the living room. Mia came down the stairs, looking like she was attending her own funeral, sweatpants, hair tied back, that perfect victim expression. "Did something happen?" she asked, fake sweetness dripping. Something did happen. I stopped in the center of the room, enough of you manipulating everyone and walking away as the poor victim. I looked at both of them. "Mom, Dad, did you see her post? Do you really think that's fair? Do you remember who ruined whose engagement? Honey, this isn't how you fix things." Mom tried. "No, now you're going to listen." I turned to Mia. "You seduced Ryan. You stabbed me in the back. You said sorry with fake tears and thought you could just keep being the family princess. But now the tables have turned. Now you're the one on the floor, crying, and this time, no one's coming to save you. It's not a sad post that will wipe out the screenshots, the voice messages, the testimonies. Everyone saw who you truly are. The mask is gone." Mia. She stayed silent, crying. Dad lowered his gaze. "I'm tired of being the forgotten daughter while you put on your little shows. Enough. The stage is mine now, and the audience. They're on my side." I left without waiting for a response. In the car, Ethan was at the wheel, the radio playing, and a coffee waiting for me in the cup holder. "So?" he asked. "It was beautiful," I answered. "She finally realized she's not in control anymore." He smiled. "You know, getting revenge on her was even more therapeutic than I expected." "Yeah, and you know what's even better?" "What?" "Part 2 is still coming. Part 2 began with an invitation Andre's restaurant launch party. Andre was a well-known chef around here, followed by influencers, covered on social media. Mia was, of course, obsessed with these kinds of events. She always pretended to have a life she didn't. She'd post photos in store mirrors acting like she owned the clothes. Order expensive meals just to take photos and send them back through the kitchen door. That's what it was, appearances. But this time, she wasn't on the list. Ethan was. We arrived on the right foot. Literally, the entrance photographer stopped us for pictures. One of those photos landed on a local event page with the caption, "Couple of the moment. Melissa and Ethan steal the scene at the opening night." Mia saw it the next day. Of course, she posted the classic indirect on her story. Some people need the spotlight to feel alive. I prefer depth. Depth. From who? From someone who threw herself into my fiancé's lap 3 weeks before the wedding, and now cries on the internet because the guy she barely knew is my boyfriend. The following Saturday, there was another event, Amanda's wedding. Our cousin, Mia, had always been close to Amanda. She probably thought Amanda would ask me not to bring Ethan, but Amanda personally called me. "Mel, please come and bring him. Everyone knows what happened." I don't have the patience to pretend with Mia anymore. She needs to learn the world doesn't revolve around her. Mia was there, alone, wearing a dress too tight, makeup flawless, that plastic smile, pretending not to see us walk in. Ethan wrapped his arm around my waist, kissed my cheek now and then, and all she could do was watch. But the moment that made the night unforgettable was during the bride and groom's dance. Amanda, very discreetly, called us to dance nearby. Ethan and I spun slowly in the center when Mia tried to approach. For the first time, she seemed vulnerable. "Ethan, can I talk to you?" she asked, using that look she thought was irresistible. He let go of my hand, looked at her, completely calm. "No, I'm busy loving your sister." Mia froze. I took a deep breath, looked at her, and added, "And for the first time in years, I'm being truly loved. Something you've never understood, because you only know how to confuse attention with love." She stepped back, tears in her eyes, tripping over her own dress hem. No one laughed. It was worse, everyone ignored her. That hurt more. She left a few minutes later. And me, I kept dancing. For the first time in ages, I felt like I had one. But the best part was yet to come. Weeks later, I was invited to a podcast about overcoming and new beginnings. I didn't name anyone, but I told the story: the narcissistic sister, the unfaithful fiancé, the carefully crafted revenge, and the love that no one expected. The episode went viral. People from all over the country sent me messages, saying they related, saying they admired me. Mia listened. I know she did. Because that same day, she messaged me, "Do you really need to expose yourself like this, just for applause?" I answered, without thinking, "It's not exposure, it's liberation. I spent years trapped in your theater. Now the story's mine, and so is the stage." She never replied. In the following days, I heard from others that Mia was withdrawing. Some brands she wanted to partner with stopped answering. People began commenting on her obsession with Ethan. The reputation she fought so hard to build with filters and rehearsed quotes started to crumble. And I wasn't the one who tore it down. She destroyed herself. And me, I kept living. Ethan was no longer just a part of my revenge. Somewhere in the middle of the chaos, he became my safe place. What once looked like an ally turned out to be a real companion. Day by day, what Mia tried to tear apart only made me stronger. And she, who always tried to win by manipulation, was now left with nothing but silence. The first time I realized I wasn't thinking about Ryan anymore was one ordinary morning. Weeks after Amanda's wedding, we were at my apartment. The sunlight gently came through the window. Ethan was in the kitchen, shirtless, making pancakes like he'd done since his first week with me. He hummed an old 2000s song, doing those silly dances that made me laugh. And that's when it hit me: Ryan had become nothing more than a dusty shadow in a forgotten corner of my memory. It wasn't just revenge anymore, it was the way Ethan held my hand when he didn't have to. It was how he listened to the same childhood stories, over and over, always with a genuine smile. It was the way he looked at me when I read on the couch, as if he needed nothing else. I never expected this. When I sent him that impulsive message, to help me shatter my sister's illusion, I thought it would be temporary, that he'd pretend just long enough for Mia to give up, that I'd feel avenged, and then life would go back to what it was. But life didn't go back. Ethan became my routine, my safe place. He met my friends, became part of my work circle, started leaving his toothbrush and t-shirts at my place. When my car broke down, he was the first to show up with coffee and a tow truck. When I had an anxiety attack before an important presentation, he sat with me on the kitchen floor, holding my hand in silence until I could breathe again. Ryan, he became nothing. No comparisons, no lingering thoughts, just gone. The man who once was the center of my universe now meant nothing, because now I had someone who showed up even on the ordinary days. Ryan was made of empty promises about the future. Ethan was made of present actions. One night, we went to a new restaurant, nothing fancy, just a good vibe and great food. As we sat down, Ethan took my hand across the table and said, in that easygoing tone I already knew, "You know what's funny? We started this to trick your sister, but I never pretended." I was quiet for a few seconds, my heart racing. I'm not pretending anymore either," I said with a shy smile. He laughed, raised his wine glass. "To the best revenge." "Then, no," I corrected. "To what comes after them." We toasted, and for the first time in a long time, I was at peace without resentment, without ghosts, without needing anyone's validation. I was there for myself, and so was he. A few days later, I passed Ryan in the city center. He was walking alone, head down, as if carrying the weight of the world. Automatically, I looked away, not out of pain, but because he simply didn't matter anymore. He saw me, hesitated, almost approached. But when he noticed Ethan walking toward me, intertwining our fingers, he backed off. Maybe he finally understood. There was no place for him anymore. The space he wasted with lies was now occupied by someone who, without promising anything, gave me everything. That night, I hugged Ethan a little tighter and whispered, without thinking much, "Thank you for showing up." He looked at me with that calm smile that said it all, even in silence. And I knew, revenge gave me justice, but it was what came after that gave me love. Months passed. What started as a sharp response to my sister's poison became the sweetest part of my life. Ethan was no longer a plan or a strategy. He was my home, my partner in quiet moments and laughter. We slept together most nights, sometimes at mine, sometimes at his, where the golden retriever insisted on sleeping between us. As if guarding this unlikely story, he officially asked me to be his girlfriend on a simple night, sitting on the couch, eating pizza straight from the box while we watched a random marine life documentary. Asterisk, asterisk, "Do you think it's too early for this?" he asked, balancing the pizza box on his lap, that familiar smile tugging at his lips. "Or is it already too late?" I laughed. "I think we've already survived worse phases than most 20-year relationships. It's just a title." I added, "But yes, I want to." And that's how it stayed. We didn't talk about Mia anymore. She vanished from conversations, from social media, from messages. She blocked Ethan everywhere. Even though he never reached out, she told people she'd never forgive me, that I'd stolen the love of her life just to flaunt it. She never admitted that she destroyed my wedding first. But you know what? I didn't care anymore. At first, I thought I would. I thought I'd keep waiting for her to take responsibility, that I'd crave an apology that never came. But the greatest gift that whole mess gave me was the freedom I felt when I finally stopped needing Mia's approval. She didn't forgive me. She didn't come to my birthday. She ignored my mother's Christmas messages. She stayed distant, angry, bitter, and me. I moved on. I traveled with Ethan to the countryside, met his mom, this time officially helped him paint the walls of his new clinic, learned how to handle his messy dog, and slowly, we built a routine that was easy, real, honest. One afternoon, we were lying in the hammock, just listening to the wind and the birds, when he asked me, "Do you still think all of this was just revenge?" I thought for a few seconds, then smiled, turning my face toward him. Maybe. It began that way, but it turned out to be the best thing I ever did for myself. He kissed my forehead, and we sat in silence. What started as revenge slowly became love. And, ironically, I think that's what must have hurt Mia the most. She always wanted to be the star, the most beautiful, the most desired, the one everyone looked at first. But it was off stage, away from the story she always tried to write, that I ended up finding what she spent her whole life pretending she already had. I was never the family's pride, never the most loved, never the perfect sister. But I was the only one who learned how to turn pain into power, rejection into freedom, and revenge into love. And that's something no one will ever take from me. 6 months later, just when I thought all the storms had passed, I got an unexpected call. It was Ryan. I didn't pick up the first time, nor the second. On the third call, Ethan was sitting next to me and simply said, "Answer it. You need to close this chapter." "Hello," I answered, my voice as neutral as possible. "Melissa, it's me." His voice sounded drained, defeated. Can we talk in person?" For a second I thought about hanging up, but Ethan was right. Some things still needed to be said. I agreed to meet at a neutral cafe, far from anywhere tied to our memories. When I arrived, he was already sitting there. His hair was messy, dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he'd aged years. "In just a few months, thanks for coming," he said without meeting my gaze. "What do you want, Ryan?" He sighed, long and deep. I wanted to apologize. "Really? And explain." "Explain what?" "That you were holding my sister's hand 3 weeks before our wedding." "It wasn't like that," he whispered. She came to me when you were sick, said she needed to tell me something important about you, that there were things from your past I needed to know before marrying you." I felt a knot form in my stomach. So typical of Mia. "And you believed her." "She showed me evidence, or at least things that looked like evidence. Said you had ruined some girl's life in high school, that you were vindictive, manipulative. She had old conversations, twisted, taken out of context. Finally, he looked at me. I got scared. I got confused. And that's why you ended up in bed with her? No. He shook his head desperately. She told me she'd been in love with me from the start, that she'd just never said anything because she respected you, that if I called off the wedding, she would be there for me. I was drinking. I was overwhelmed by everything she said about you. Ryan, I interrupted. None of that excuses what you did. I know. His eyes filled with tears. 5 minutes after you left, I realized it. I realized she had manipulated me, that it was all a lie, that I had destroyed the best thing in my life because of her. I stayed quiet for a long moment. You know what hurts me the most? Ryan, it's not even what you did. It's that you didn't trust me. In 2 years together, you chose to believe her over who I really was. He lowered his head. I tried calling you 1,000 times. I went to your house, but you were never there. Until I saw the pictures with him, and then I knew it was too late. It was already too late the moment you ran your hand through her hair, I said as I stood up. But thank you for explaining. It helps me be sure I made the right choice. He looked at me one last time. Are you happy with him? For the first time in that whole conversation, I smiled. Happier than I ever imagined I could be. And I walked away no resentment. Just the certainty that some doors need to close so others can fully open. Talking to my family was harder. 3 months passed before my mother finally called to ask if we could talk. She invited me to lunch. Just the two of us, to see if we could fix things. I found a different woman waiting for me, older, more tired. The lines around her eyes seemed deeper. How are you? She asked, almost afraid. I'm good, Mom, really good. Ethan's good, too. We're doing well. She nodded, her hands nervously twisting the napkin. I need to apologize to you, she finally said. For all those years I didn't see clearly. My chest tightened. Mom, you don't. Please, let me finish. For the first time, she really looked me in the eyes. I always knew Mia was difficult, but I thought if I gave her more attention, if I protected her more, she would change. And in doing that, I neglected you. I left you alone to deal with the consequences of her actions. Tears started falling down my face. After that day you confronted us, I began to see the pieces fit together. The friends Mia lost, the boyfriends who disappeared, the stories that never quite made sense. And I realized you two always told me different versions of the same story. And I always chose to believe hers. Why? I asked, my voice breaking. Because she cried louder, my mother admitted, her voice trembling. Because you always seemed stronger, like you could handle yourself. I confused your strength with not needing anyone. We sat quietly for a few moments and now, I asked, how's Mia? She moved to another state. She's in therapy. She said she needs to start over, away from all this. My mother paused. She asked me to tell you that. She knows she was wrong, but she's not ready to apologize yet, and I'm not ready to forgive. I answered honestly. Maybe one day, but not now. I understand. She reached across the table for my hand. Can I try to be a better mother to you? I took her hand. We can try to be a better family, but it'll take time. She smiled through her tears. I have time. A few weeks later, my father showed up at my door. No warning, just a bouquet of flowers and a face that looked like he wasn't sure what to say. I come in, he asked, softly. Of course, Dad. Ethan was in the kitchen and greeted him politely before stepping away to give us space. I like him, my father said plainly. He seems like a good man. He is. I came because your mother told me you talked, and I realized I never apologized to you. My father never used many words, so this surprised me. I always knew Mia was difficult, he continued, but I thought it wasn't my problem, that it was women's business, something your mother would handle. But in the end, you both suffered, especially you. Dad, no, let me finish. He sat on the edge of the couch. I failed as a father. I failed to protect you. I failed to guide her. I failed to teach you both that sisters are meant to support each other, not destroy each other. I felt my throat tighten. Your mother told me about Ryan, about what Mia did to you. He shook his head. If it were me, I could never forgive. But you found a way to turn all that pain into something good, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of you. They were the words I'd waited my whole life to hear. Thank you, Dad. Do you think there's still time for me to be a better father? I smiled, even as my eyes filled with tears. There's always time. That night, I told Ethan everything. He listened quietly, holding my hand. How do you feel? He asked when I finished. Free, I said, surprised by my own answer. For the first time, truly free. And about Mia, I thought for a moment. I hope she finds peace, even if it's far from me. But I really do hope she finds it. He smiled and kissed my forehead. You're incredible. You know that. We're incredible, I corrected him. US. And it was true. Because in the end, it was never just about defeating Mia or getting revenge. It was about finally understanding that I deserved to be loved, to be defended, to be respected. It was about realizing that family isn't always who's born into your life, it's who chooses to stay. It was about learning that sometimes, before you can find the love of your life, you need to stop accepting crumbs from people who never truly valued you. And today, when I wake up next to Ethan, with our dog sleeping at our feet, I know every battle was worth it because they led me here. To him, to us, to peace.